community that fiercely guarded its privacy for decades tonight is the focus of a hearing witnessed by an entire nation.
Witnesses at this hearing will describe a web of criminal conduct that includes welfare fraud, tax evasion, massive corruption.
It's not about religion, not about culture, and not about lifestyle. It's about protecting women and children from crime.
Freedom of religion or crime in the name of God? Lawmakers are weighing those heavy questions tonight as they decide whether the United States government should step in and put a federal watch on an Arizona polygamous sect and its notorious prophet. Sexual abuse, underage marriage, and bigamy, those crimes among charges already filed against polygamous leader Warren Jeffs and his followers in Arizona, Utah, and Texas. Tonight, lawmakers in Washington will consider whether federal law enforcement agencies should also be making a rap sheet, including allegations of organized crime. Our Mike Watkins is live now in Washington, D.C., where a Senate committee considered those charges today. Mike?
Yes, indeed, Patty. History in the making here in the nation's capital today is the Senate Judiciary Committee taking on and taking aim at the alleged crimes associated with the practice of polygamy. Arizona Attorney General's testimony, Terry Goddard's testimony, featured today during today's hearing, a hearing set in motion by the powerful Senate Majority Leader, Harry Reid.
The lawless conduct of polygamous communities in the United States deserves national attention and federal action. This hearing is an important milestone in the ongoing effort to curtail their pervasive criminal behavior.
It was a packed house for Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid and Senate Judiciary Committee members today. A historic hearing called for by the powerful Nevada Democrat, a hearing to address a laundry list of alleged crimes the Reid and other senators now clearly believe are being committed by polygamous sects like the FLDS Church under the leadership of its now incarcerated prophet Warren Steed Jeffs.
When you have criminal enterprises, people who are expert at committing crimes, it's difficult to get to the bottom of it, and that's what we have here.
And to help make the point of alleged widespread criminal behavior, members of the Judiciary Committee hearing testimony from the U.S. attorneys from both Utah and Nevada, also from Arizona Attorney General Terry Goddard and Greg Abbott, the Attorney General from Texas, whose state just this week indicted polygamous leader Warren Jeffs and 5 of his followers on new charges of sex crimes against children.
This is an organization that, first of all, is mobile, going from one state to another. Whenever they feel the heat of law enforcement, they'll just move to another state. And I think it's very important that we have federal authorities involved in this process.
Senator Reid now introducing legislation to form a federal task force to address the alleged crimes associated with polygamy. Crimes ranging from child labor law violations to welfare fraud, tax evasion, to shuffling underage girls across state and national borders for the purposes of sexual exploitation.
We need the benefit of the federal government to help, and that's why I've called for this task force.
The Judiciary Committee also hearing damning testimony from a couple of former FLDS members, best-selling author Carolyn Jessup and Salt Lake businessman Dan Fisher, who has set up a foundation to help the so-called lost boys of polygamy. But one group not invited to speak, current FLDS members, several of whom attended today's hearing and who were clearly angry that their voices were not being heard in what they characterized as a government-sponsored persecution and witch hunt.
This is genocide. You are witnessing today a classic example of genocide.
We don't have near the power and resources that some of them have, but we do have the power of our Heavenly Father, which we feel is the greatest power to help us.
Obviously, if there's evidence of criminal activity, that's investigated. You don't need a special hearing to target a specific group of people. But the idea of profiling or targeting the people because of how they worship, it's absolutely un-American.
Indeed, FLDS lawyers and faithful particularly angry at the moving force behind today's hearing. Senator Reid saying Reid, a member of the mainstream Mormon Church, is spearheading this federal crackdown because members of his faith have long been embarrassed by the offshoot fundamentalists.
We're here to either sell book deals or to play out a personal vendetta against the religion and against the leadership.
There has been some criticism of this, saying that your LDS faith may be the motivating factor in you putting this together. The Mormon Church has long been embarrassed by these people, and this is an attempt on you and your faith to sort of distance yourself and say, we don't approve of this.
Well, I think my faith, and I hope anyone's faith, would have something to do with this. There's a criminal organization, criminal activities taking place, and I think people should not turn a blind eye to bigamy, child abuse, child rape.
Now, Patty, Senator Reed said that expressed confidence that his legislation would pass and that this task force would be set up, if not during the current administration, certainly during the next administration, whomever that may be. For their part, FLDS members were very angry that they couldn't speak today, but they were able to speak to camera crews before and after the hearing. They talked at length. That is until I started to ask questions of their main spokesman, a man by the name of Willie Jessup. Coming up at 6 o'clock, a very sort of bizarre confrontation when I tried to ask some questions. Mr. Jessup accused me of being a kidnapper and an accomplice to rape. It was one of those sort of surreal moments you have to see to believe. That's coming up at 6 o'clock. At 9 o'clock tonight, we'll have a one-on-one with Terry Goddard about his involvement in today's hearing. But again, coming up at 6, a real bizarre face-off, unlike any I've ever seen during my career. I'm Mike Watkins in the nation's capital for 3 TV, the place with more news.
All right, we'll see you at 6 o'clock, Mike. Thank you for that. Well, the saga of